Mario Kart 8 has had an impressive 11-year run. The original game came out on the Wii U back in 2014. 3 years later, when the Nintendo Switch came out, Nintendo only took a couple of weeks to release an enhanced version called 8 Deluxe. While 8 Deluxe these days is a great game, when it was released there was a lot to be desired in my opinion. What do I mean by that? Well, see, Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U by endgame had 48 tracks in total, 32 base game and the rest DLC. What did 8 Deluxe add to this? Well, a couple of new characters, a new battle mode which should have been in the base game, and some balance changes. It wasn't until 2022 when Nintendo finally decided to start releasing DLC tracks every few months to make the game feel fresh again, especially because we hadn't gotten any new content since 2017. Yet even after all these new tracks and characters and meta changes, there's still something off about this game. With 96 tracks, how could this game not be the absolute best Mario Kart game ever made? Well, back in 2008, Nintendo had been on an up-steep roller coaster. The Wii had been out for about 2 years, and at that point, when you go that long without a Mario Kart game being on a console, you start to regret putting trust in these guys. Finally, Nintendo released Mario Kart Wii in 2008 to critical success, just like pretty much every other Mario Kart game. The game introduced bikes, inside drifting vehicles, 16 new retro tracks, wheelies, and the trick system. Some of the changes would stay in future Mario Kart games, and others would stay in Wii whether it was a good or bad thing. Mario Kart Wii remained the main console Mario Kart game until 8 came out in 2014. Mario Kart 8 was generally seen as an improvement to Wii, having much better graphics and having gliders and underwater travel from 7 were good, as well as having new anti-gravity mechanics which offered unique level design. However, despite all the great things that Mario Kart 8 did, Mario Kart Wii has a lot more to offer a player, and this video will tell you why I feel that way. Mario Kart Wii has a lot more to offer in terms of fun driving. Like I mentioned earlier, you can perform wheelies, as long as you're on a bike that is. Wheelies can pick up your speed a lot, but you also don't want to get wheelie bumped, as they lose pretty much all of your speed. Why they didn't keep this awesome feature is strange to me, but another thing that we had that 8 didn't is standstill mini turbos. If you get hit or simply lose all of your speed, you can hold down the acceleration button and the drift button, and you can get a little mini turbo at a standstill to get instant speed. It was a nice mechanic as it let vehicles with low acceleration gain speed in a quick way. I know that 8 Deluxe is generally more about karts, and admittedly bikes in Wii are super broken, and almost nobody uses karts, but instead of making bikes objectively worse in 8, they could have kept these mechanics in to make them more fair to use. Because if you pick bikes in 8 Deluxe, you are an active menace to society because they are so ass in this game. At least in Mario Kart Wii, while karts are objectively worse, I do give it some slack considering that this was the first game to introduce bikes, and they hadn't fully figured out how to balance them yet. Next up, I want to talk about the characters. At launch, this was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's roster. Now, since the DLC, they added more characters including Funky Kong. However, before these were added, 8 Deluxe had a pretty mid selection of characters. Every single Koopaling, Pinkled Peach, more babies which no one asked for, and certain mainstays like Birdo weren't in the base game. Compare this to Wii, which had no updates, had this character select screen. Oh my god, where do I begin? You got Funky Kong, King Boo, Birdo. You can play as your fucking me? Huh? Oh. You can play as a me in 8 Deluxe as well. Never mind then. All I'm saying is that the characters in this game, and especially the characters that matter, the good ones, are super important to Mario Kart, and playing them with knowing their hidden stats is amazing. Next up is definitely my most controversial take. Mario Kart Wii's tracks are better than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's tracks. Okay, so I am giving this category a couple of rules. 1. I am only talking about the base game tracks, not the new tracks that 8 Deluxe added. So no DLC mentions will be picked because then 8 Deluxe would just clear no joke. 2. I'm not even including retro tracks, just the original 16 made for these games, just to make it easier to compare. I find the tracks in Wii generally more fun to drive than 8. Mario Kart 8 tracks that stand out to me are Thwomp Ruins, Toad Harbor, Shy Guy Falls, Sunshine Airport, and Cloud Top Cruise. The rest of the tracks either don't really hit it with me or are boring tracks with barely any cool shortcuts, and the tracks feel more linear despite having anti-gravity sections that admittedly don't feel like you're in anti-gravity. While Mario Kart 8 Deluxe tracks are decent, they are nothing on Wii. We got Toad's Factory, DK Summit, Dry Dry Ruins, the best rainbow road in the series, Maple Treeway, Mushroom Gorge, Daisy Circuit, Grumble Volcano, the list goes on. What makes these tracks better is the level design and the internal mechanics of Wii. Lakitu doesn't come for you for much longer in Wii, which can help create unique shortcuts the game never intended you to go through. The level design excels because of this, causing the game to feel a lot more open-ended than 8. The best example of this is the gap jump in Mushroom Gorge. Never were you expected to clear this gap, but if you do it right, then you can save upwards to 2 seconds, which is a lot in a racing game. Mario Kart 8's level design doesn't allow for many shortcuts, because Lakitu picks you up way too fast, so it requires snaking and good execution in order to finish the race. This sounds better in theory, however, you have to realize that good execution and driving was already mandatory in Wii on top of everything else. To me, Mario Kart 8 was a general downgrade from Wii. I like to think of Mario Kart Wii as the melee of the series, and 8 as the brawl. Each game is incredible in its own rights, but Wii had a much better feel to it. Mario Kart 8, on the other hand, was made more simple, and it just causes it to be less fun. But let me know what you guys think. I'd love to know what your guys' feedbacks and opinions are in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you with my next video.